Do you remember my first transaction back in 2016? The mobile home that my 23-year-old paid $43,000 in cash for his family, not even himself? Well, guess what? It's his turn. He and his fiance and their children got to purchase their own home now. And what an upgrade. Hello, welcome to Closing Chapters, Everyday Real Estate Tales. I'm your host, Brittany Fry. I'm a realtor, I'm a military wife, and I'm a mom. Join me and come transaction by transaction throughout my real estate career starting back in 2016 to hear about the highs, the lows, and the unexpected turns along the way through all of my customers. It's going to be a crazy ride, you guys. I am so excited to share the past, the current, and then what's coming in the future. Hang tight for the ride. Join me about being a realtor, a military spouse, and a mom. Can't wait to see you there. Happy St. Patrick's Day, folks. I hope you're having a great weekend so far, and I am so happy you're here to join me. Do you remember my first transaction back in 2016? The mobile home that my 23-year-old paid $43,000 in cash for his family, not even himself? Well, guess what? It's his turn. He and his fiance and their children got to purchase their own home now. And what an upgrade. Now, it wasn't quite $43,000. We had to up the budget a little bit and finally get them a loan. But I was so happy that they were able to go through a first-time homeowners program and get great financing. And the property they found, right now, this guy is very good with his money and super frugal, okay? So we found a property that was going into foreclosure. And when I say this, the property itself was not in bad shape, but it was nasty. People had left their belongings there. It really needed to be cleaned. There was no power or water on, so we couldn't really do an inspection. It was really an as-is situation. But here's the thing. It was a 1,600 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, brick rancher in a great neighborhood next to Shaw Air Force Base for $125,000. Did we pay $125,000 for it? No, ma'am, we did not. We paid $123,000, built in $3,000 of closing costs in there, and he got a great deal. So not only did he get a beautiful house that he just had to put a little bit of love into for $125,000 in a great location, we also got some closing cost coverage, so he had very minimal cash coming out at closing. With him doing the new homeowners program, he only had to do 3% down, and then hardly had any closing costs. It was a fantastic deal. Now, what was hard about this? There's nobody that's really liable in these type of situations. So there was no one to help do repairs. There was no one to help get the power set back up. And it had been off long enough that the power company had to go back out there, put a new meter on, a couple different things like that. The fence was laying down in several different places. Well, nobody's going to fix that, right? So he had to kind of put in a lot of sweat equity when it came to this property. But it paid off. The first thing that he did was rip out all the flooring and put in beautiful luxury vinyl plank flooring throughout the house. And that itself was a huge, huge change to the property. And then a little bit of painting. And honestly, after they kind of gave it some sweat equity of scrubbing and getting it spiffed up, there wasn't much else that had to be done. Like everything was in functional operational order. It just needed to come to life a little bit. So I was so happy that he came back to me, right? This not only was my first client, but he was my first repeat client. And I couldn't have been more thrilled to put his family in a property this time. It's such a special thing that he did for his mom and dad and siblings to put them in a home and to sacrifice himself and his situation for the time being. So for him to come back 2 years later and it was his turn, it made me so happy. Now, like I said, he didn't do this alone. He had a great fiance and he had children. So whenever we had to go out showing, it was the whole family. And as you all know, that can be a little bit stressful, right? Especially his son was, like 2.5. So he's in like the let's climb on things. And so it was really eye opening whenever we would go through houses. And this was like a really good learning lesson because I didn't have children yet, that you really have to start thinking of different things. So we'd go through a house and they'd be like, oh no, we couldn't do this. Our son could get up on here and climb over there or whatever have you, right? So this was my first chance to really listen and kind of learn what to expect for children, but also what you might be looking for in a house if you had young children. And a lot of people have their things and they'll, look at it and say yay or nay, but they wouldn't verbalize, no, we can't do this because of that, right? So these folks, obviously we were very friendly with one another and very open because this is our second transaction together. And it was great that they were so honest and could tell me what worked and what didn't work and why, so that I knew what to look for in the future. And it helped me with future clients. And honestly, it helped us with our own children. So when we bought our first house in Tennessee, my daughter was 10 months old at the time. And it is such a common thing in the area that we were in to have the catwalks over top of the like living space. So to have like a full 2 stories open and then like a walking space between bedrooms on the second floor with the open bars, and that was just 100% no-go for us. Like if we went into a house and there was a huge catwalk in there, we just weren't going to do it at all. And even this time around, when we were looking at houses in North Carolina, there was one that we were strongly considering. And I told my husband, I was like, could you, because it was suggested to us before, like put up a piece of plexiglass then if that makes you, uncomfortable. I'm like, what do you think, babe? Are you going to be okay putting up plexiglass through this whole, 20-foot section? Because now we have the 1.5-year-old boy that is a little monkey and going to climb on everything, right? And you go, oh, Brittany, those rails are so high. How are they ever going to get up there? Okay, have you not seen a child bring a box, a tote, whatever from their room, toys, a book, their little play piano, and drag it across the room and stand up on it so they could try to get to something like a light switch? Who's going to keep them from dragging it out of their bedroom and not getting up to those rails? I would never have thought about that until I had my own children, plus having that knowledge from other clients. So if you are a realtor and you do not have kiddos yet and you plan to, lean into some of these young families and start figuring out what it really looks like to have kids in a household, because they will tell you, and they will tell you what has worked well for them and what has not worked well for them. And it is golden nuggets of wisdom. We are very particular about how we set up our house now, specifically for our children. And I'm so glad that I had kind of those thoughts because of this family showing me and telling me like, hey, this is what happens if he has access to this, right? And I know it seems so simple and so like, duh, but it's really not. You will be so surprised what your kids can do or what they get into that you just didn't think about, period. So we were really happy to find just a straight rancher without any surprises, right? So what was happening is we go into these houses that would have like this big bonus space, but it'd be like a tri-level situation and it'd have like a half wall above it. Well, if there's anything on the other side of that half wall, then little dude could climb up there and go over that half wall. And that was like one of the big ones that was sticking in my head. But stairs in general, when you have little kids that are klutzy and clumsy going up and down stairs, especially if it's only 2 or 3 stairs, is just such a liability at some point, right? They just think they can zip and zoom up and down them, and then they just fall over and over and over again. So it was really delightful to find them. That was something that was very simple, very easy for them to move into and be able to resume life. And they had a huge backyard. So yes, they had to fix that fence. The fence had huge sections of it that were down on the ground. However, it was there, so they were able to at least get it up and going and then like improvise for now and replace it later. And they had a huge yard to throw that little boy out there and say, go, run, get your energy out, which is so cool. I love that. And they are such a family-oriented family, to the point that now they actually have mom-in-law and I think another family member living with them with their 3 children in this house. So you betcha that we have been talking about what their house is worth, What could they upgrade to? And I so hope that I get that opportunity soon because they're so deserving. They have done everything the right way, every step of the way. They work hard, they're a good family, and to be honest, they're just good friends. Our last babies are very close together in age, so it was so cool just to text and check in with each other and keep up along the way. So I'm so glad that I'm going to be closer to some of my South Carolina families now, because obviously after 3 years of being remote, it's really hard sometimes to keep those relationships going and to show face and support one another. So I'm so happy that I'm going to have that opportunity just to show up at the doorstep and leave them a goodie every once in a while, because that is what matters to me. I want you to know that I'm here and that I support you and that I love you and I am not going away. My relationship with you as a client does not stop at the closing table. And because of that, you will always be able to come back to me time and time and time again every time you need me, whether it's once, twice, or 3 times, maybe even more. I would love that. Repeat clients are really the center of our business. And referrals from those clients. Usually they're the best referring clients because they know that they like, love, and trust me, right? And they know the quality of work that I'll bring to the table because they have used me several times in 2 totally different scenarios, right? It's really cool. So, and they have called me to try to help other family members whenever they've needed it, or if a friend says something, they'll even call me just for advice on a scenario that I may not be able to help with. And I love that. Do you hear that? I love that they call me to get advice on a scenario that I cannot help with. They're not going to use me for something. I'm not going to get paid for something, but I am still their trusted advisor. And I would love to be yours too. Now, when I say this, I'm not saying I'm working for free every day, all day, right? We all have to make a living. We all have families to feed. And I have a job that I do, and I do it well. But my point in saying that is I'm always here for you. I am always a phone call away, a text message away. If you have a question or somebody is going through something and you just want to know like another point of view, let me know. And I'll give you an example. What was happening here is he had a friend that was doing a cash deal, and there was a question about what they were doing and if it seemed like it was the right way to go about it or what steps they needed to take to get the ball moving, right? And the honest answer was in the scenario that they were in, they needed an attorney to put a contract together because they wanted to do something very specific that's not in our normal state contracts. So they needed to know like, hey, you need to get an attorney, you need to be able to sit down and tell them these terms, and then go from there. And then also have the attorney help with the monetary side of things, right? Because every transaction for real estate in the state of South Carolina has to go through a real estate attorney to do all the title work and transfer all monies. So that was the reason why I wasn't of use in this scenario, is because it really had nothing to do with me, so to speak, but they came to me for the advice and for the recommendation of who they should go to, which I absolutely am thrilled that they did. So my first repeat customer, and he was 23 when they bought the first property in 2016. This is 2018. He's 25 years old and he's bought 2 properties, folks. 2 properties. And he still owns that property today. So 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. And we're coming up on their anniversary, I think, right here soon in May. So they are almost 6 years into this property. They have a boatload of equity between the appreciation in the property and what they've paid off in the property. They are sitting pretty. And one day they are going to cash in on that equity and they are going to be able to get a sprawling property. Or whatever they want, maybe a couple properties. Maybe they're going to buy one for them again and one for mama, right? Mom-in-law. So, I mean, and not that everybody should have to do that, but that's the kind of people that they are. And I love that about them. I love that they take care of their family and that they keep them close to home. It's a beautiful thing. So I hope that in the future, I am able to help them facilitate whatever their dreams are when it comes to real estate and to go visit those sweet babies. Because like I said, our boys are right at the same age. They were born like within the same month of each other. So I am so excited to let them meet and have fun and play because they're about to be in that rough and tough tumble boy phase. And it'll be really cool to have somebody else with us. I hope that you enjoy the story. I hope that you know if you have a realtor that you have used in the past and you like and know and trust them, go back to them for any and all real estate needs. It doesn't matter if it's in the state that you guys were at or not. Most realtors have connections near and far and can help you and be of benefit to you regardless of your scenario or where you are going or what you're trying to accomplish. So don't forget about us. It's a two-way street, my friends. We do need to check in with you and keep up with you, but you need to keep us top of mind. We're always here to help you with any of your real estate needs or anyone you know, anywhere in the world. I cannot tell you how many times I see posts on my real estate pages for people looking for people in Puerto Rico, France, Italy, all these different countries, Canada. Hawaii is obviously in the US, but still is pretty remote. And a lot of people don't think, oh, she's going to have a connection in Hawaii. It's not, on the East Coast, but I do. So remember, we are all well connected and we'll always take care of you.